Welcome to Caffeinated Flicks. I'm Celeste.
And I'm Kenzie. We're two chicks who drink coffee
and celebrate flicks from diverse directors.
If you like what you're hearing so far, take a moment to follow us in your favorite podcasting app.
And give us a rating or review. Here's the show.
So how are you today?
Hot.
It's very hot.
Given that we just came from the farmer's market and were bamboozled by how hot it was.
Right? Oh my gosh, it's so dumb. This morning when I went for my run, it was beautiful. It was like 77 degrees and I was like, this is great. This will be perfect. And then we got to the farmer's market at like 8:45 and it's like 92 degrees.
Sun was blazing, not a cloud in sight. I was like, what the heck?
Very Katy Perry, hot and cold there.
I was convinced it was getting cooler because normally by 6 a.m, it feels like it's 100 degrees already.
I know.
But lately it's been nice. So that's why I thought the farmer's market might be doable. But no, even the dogs at the market weren't having it.
The puppy paws. But I mean, my fingers are crossed. We're supposed to be heading down into our final fall cool down where it's no longer going to be over 100 degrees soon.
Yes. Next week's supposed to be 90s. Hopefully it doesn't jump back up though.
Right. So I'm going to Juneau, Alaska next week. And I looked at the weather and it's supposed to rain the entire time, but it's going to be glorious.
It's going to be amazing. But what a shift. Your body's going to like freak the fuck out. It's going to think it's going into shock, man.
It's going to have to pull out the defibrillators, bring you back to life, Evanescence style. Oh man. And it's supposed to be like a high of like 54 or something like that. But the low is like 49. Like it's only a 5-degree difference between the high and the low all the time there.
That's like our summers.
That's true.
It's only like a few degree difference at night.
Yeah, because it never cools off here.
No.
But yeah, so we went to the farmer's market in the search for coffee.
Yes. We did not get the coffee we intended on getting, but it was still really tasty. Yes, which never happens.
I know.
I never get the same thing.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so we got Brew Coffee and we both got the toffee crunch because I'm obsessed with toffee flavors.
Okay, we didn't get, the only difference is you got almond, I got milk.
I know, because as you poignantly described, you were very particular about your almond milk. So that way it doesn't just taste like nut water. You're like, it has to be superb nut water. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh no.
You also just can't go wrong with oat milk.
You really can't. I don't think I've had a bad oat milk before.
No, I don't think so.
Oat milk is, I feel like it's the superior of non-dairy milk.
Of the alt milks?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. But the question is, will we drink coffee again later today?
I can't. This is my coffee. This is my first coffee in 2 weeks. My body is going to, I don't think it's going to be able to handle it.
Out.
Yeah. I'm going to go into cardiac arrest over here. My one latte.
Well, don't do that. I still need you for this. So
wait until after the podcast, please.
But in addition to that, you know, we're going to go see Taylor Tomlinson tonight.
Yeah, so exciting. And where are we going for dinner again?
So before we go to Taylor Tomlinson, we're going to go to Walter Station Brewing, which is an amazing local brewery based in the downtown Phoenix area, about a mile away from where we're going to go see Taylor Tomlinson. And they've got some incredible brews. They've got amazing food, and the setting is really cool because it's like an indoor-outdoor thing, but they do keep it relatively cool inside. So it's awesome.
The millennial twinkly lights.
That's all we need. In order for a place to be cool, it's got to have twinkly lights.
That's all you need to add.
They've also got a dog patio. That's other millennial staple.
Yep. Add some twinkly lights and add a dog section and you're golden. The key to a successful business.
What we really want as millennials is just an upscale backyard.
Yeah. And for them to not upcharge alternative milks, which they did not at this place that we went to.
So all in all, we're having a very fun-filled day today.
Yes.
But speaking of fun-filled, should we get to our movie?
Yes.
Yay.
Let's do it.
So when this comes out, it'll be my 3rd wedding anniversary, which is part of the reason why we chose this movie, because I love this movie and I think it's hilarious.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yep. So are you guys doing anything special?
Oh, we're going to Alaska.
Oh, that falls on your wedding anniversary?
No,
It's
we're
not
going
really.
beforehand, but it's representative of it.
Yeah.
So I found out we're going to do some whale watching tours, and there's a bunch of different breweries down there and some really good local coffee places and a bunch of hiking locations. So it should be a blast. I cannot wait.
Oh, it's going to be so beautiful. You're going to have to take all the pictures.
I will. Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. The question is, will they be good though? That is really
Sometimes the place is so beautiful that a photo just doesn't capture its beauty and essence. So it's understandable.
It's so sad. But we can make this happen.
Well, that should be fun. I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Beep, boop, boop. So we already went over our coffees, essentially.
Yeah.
So do you have a history with this movie?
Well, do you want to say the movie first?
Oh, yeah. Everyone already knows it's a wedding movie. We're soon. So today's movie is going to be The Wedding Date, directed by Clare Kilner. Of course, in honor of Kenzie's anniversary. So this September was supposed to be back to school, but this one's going to be the exception.
Yes.
In honor of Kenzie's anniversary.
Exactly. What else can you do when you've got a special date that falls into a month, right?
Exactly. And so, yeah, what is your history with this movie?
I cannot tell you the first time that I watched this. All I know is that it's been in my movie catalog forever, like my movie rotation. I adore this movie. I think I've watched it ever since it came out on DVD, whenever that happened. And I just watched it constantly. And I don't know why, per se. Like,
it's an easy movie to rewatch.
It is so easy to rewatch. It is 90 minutes total.
Sweet and short. Yes.
And it gets to the point you know exactly what's happening the entire time. Like, there's no having to guess. There's no backstory that you're missing. Like, it's just so easy.
Straight into the point. Yep.
I think what I also like is the mess of it. There's so much mess in this movie.
There is.
And I also love the music. So we got Maroon 5 in there. We've got like Michael Buble throughout.
Okay, so despite the opening song, I was like, is this entire movie Michael Buble? I'm like, is Claire like a huge Buble fan?
I wouldn't doubt her if she was. Like, I love Michael Buble, and I really think, like, rewatching it yesterday, I think I realized that this movie is actually why I love Michael Buble. Yeah, like I never knew who he was until I watched this movie, and then I fell in love with the song Sway, and then everything else fell into place afterwards.
Oh my god, yeah, I've never seen this movie before. This is my first going back and rewatching it over and over again. So yeah, this was a really fun, easy movie to watch. So
I love it.
Also, Mr. What is his name? Dermot Mulroney? Is it
Dermot Mulroney? Dermot Mulroney.
What?
That is. Yeah. I know. He's got the hardest name ever. He is beautiful.
I've definitely added to the appeal of rewatching this movie over and over.
Wow, and we're gonna get to a very special scene that I have to talk about for like 2 minutes. Like, and I think you know what it is. But
oh yeah.
And I think this was when like Amy Adams was like first starting out in acting.
I think so, yeah.
And she's so blonde, and I think she's so cute in this movie. She's just so like fluttery.
She is. She's so beautiful, but yeah.
So should we go into Claire? before we get too much further in the movie.
We're already diving into the movie. Forget the cast. Forget Claire. Sorry, Claire. So, as previously stated, it's directed by Clare Kilner. So, again, this is one of the people who it was so difficult to find information on.
I know. I see that.
So, she was born in 1964. Could not find her birthday. It's not Googleable. Only her year is there. I don't know if she has some beef with somebody in IMDb. She's just a very private person. But literally, there was nothing. No bio. Just some of her work. That's it. I was like, what the heck?
Wild.
Somewhere else, it mentions that she's an English director. So I'm assuming she was born in England. So what I could find of her, she earned her master's in film and television, directing from the Royal College of Art in London. I had to go through her Instagram account to find some.
You found her Insta? Oh my gosh.
It was one of the only things that came up when I Googled her. So she's recently known for filming a few episodes of House of Dragon, which, Kenzie, I don't believe you've seen because you haven't seen any of the Game of Thrones, right?
No. Technically, I've watched up to like season 3 of Game of Thrones. But when you wrote out HOD, I was like, what's HOD? What is
yes, House of Dragon.
Makes so much more sense now.
So she did a few episodes of that. The Alienist, which I've actually wanted to watch. It looks pretty interesting. And Snowpiercer, the series.
Which is wild. Like, she has done so many, like, new and really popular things. Like, how can we not find anything about her?
I know, right? So her directorial debut for a feature was a movie called Janice Beard, which won her the Best Feature Award at the U.S. Comedy Arts Festival. And then fun fact about that, Janice Beard stars Rhys Ifans, who plays, if you don't know who he is, he plays the roommate in Notting Hill. But she also gets to work with him again in House of Dragon.
No.
Yes.
That's so fun. I love when people, like, get, like, people from the industry to come back and work with them several times. Mm-hmm. Like Patrick Swayze did that with Whoopi Goldberg a lot. Like the reason why Whoopi Goldberg is in Ghost is because Patrick Swayze was like, we need to have Whoopi Goldberg in this movie.
So fun. All about the connections, man.
You know, they say in order to get a job anywhere, it's all about your network. And it really, really is. But sometimes it's fun to see the relationships grow. So
it is. So fun for them. All right, so that's it for her. I've got nothing else for poor Claire. So we'll go ahead and get into the cast. As we mentioned, Mr. Is it Dermot? Is that how you pronounce it?
Dermot Mulroney.
Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah. It's like you've got like something in your mouth while you're trying to say his name.
He plays Nick Mercer. We've got Deborah Messing playing Kat. We've got Jack Davenport playing Edward. And I would, the entire time watching this, I was like, he looks so familiar. And then I realized he's in Pirates of the Caribbean. He plays I don't know if he's the captain who Elizabeth is betrothed to.
Yes, in the first one.
In the first one, in Dead Man's Chest. And so I'm like, oh my God, he's in that. And then we've got, of course, Amy Adams as a blonde.
I know, it's the only time I've ever seen her not be a redhead.
Yeah. I love her beautiful red hair, but yeah.
I think I actually like her better as a blonde, which is wild.
Yeah. I like her red hair.
Yeah. I love redheaded women in general. Like, you've got Deborah Messing, who is in this. You've got...
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. They have two redheads. But is Deborah Messing a natural redhead?
I think like so. She's got red hair everywhere.
Oh, it almost looks like her roots are really dark. So I thought maybe she dyed it.
I don't know.
Who knows? But yeah, that's crazy to have two redheads in one movie, as unique as they are. And then we've got Sarah Parrish, who plays TJ, with just her. So, if I remember, she's also in The Holiday as Kate Winslet's best friend in that. I don't
remember. She, like, after Kate Winslet enters the holiday party, and she's like, you need to get over doing his laundry. Something like that. I'm pretty sure that's the same lady.
Is it? I didn't recognize her.
Let me double check. She's got different hair in that movie.
Huh.
Oh, please.
So she's just really good at playing like the best friend type. In this movie, I think she's the cousin.
She's the cousin, yeah, but she's amazing. She's half the reason to watch this movie. Yes, she was in The Holiday.
Well, I'm gonna have to look out for her when we do that one. We're doing The Holiday in December.
Yeah.
Actually. And then also we've got Jeremy Sheffield as Jeffrey, and then Papa Peter Egan as Victor Ellis, and then we've got Holland Taylor as Bunny. She's so funny. She gives me like Emily Gilmore vibes.
But paired with
like
oh man. Do you remember what was her name? The one who owns the inn?
Oh my gosh, I know who you're talking about. Mm-hmm. She's only in like one episode of She's in like,
there's two, because there's the one that she gets married, and then there's the one where she comes and visits the inn while Lorelai is running it. But yeah, like it's a mix between Emily Gilmore and her.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
And a little bit of Miss Patty.
Yeah. Just a little bit of all the older women and Gilmore Girls. She's hilarious too. Alrighty, so that's our main cast.
Yeah.
And then
I do have one more note.
Oh.
So Deborah Messing, so I just finished watching Will and Grace. And so this movie came out in 2005, and Deborah Messing was in Will and Grace all the way up until 2007. So this was like high Deborah Messing
career.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I just realized I don't feel like I've seen her in anything recently, like anything like major.
You know what? That's a great point. I don't know. I know that they did a follow-up of Will and Grace.
I remember that
later on, and so like she did that. But I don't know. We'll have to see what else she's been
There's
doing.
a lot I don't watch, so I could just be missing something.
Yeah, same.
There's a lot of TV shows out there.
So many.
It's possible. All right. Do you want to go ahead and get into the 10 out of 10 rating?
Absolutely. And I feel like I could have potentially written this 10 out of 10. So 10 out of 10, good for hopeless romantics. Mm-hmm. This is the perfect movie for all those hopeless romantics out there, myself included. Also myself. Mulroney is so sexy in this movie, you'll want to stay and watch it again. It is a wonderfully romantic comedy that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's silly, sad, serious, and romantic all at the same time. The acting is pretty good. Deborah Messing does a great job as the leading lady. She really can carry a romantic comedy. Definitely a feel-good movie. Have a girls' night out and go see this movie.
Perfectly said.
Yeah. I think they could have added that the music was fantastic for this too, but
I'm going to tell you what, I'm not a Buble fan. I know, but even if I'm not a Buble fan, I still love this movie. So that's a lot.
Dude, I have the 2014 Michael Bublé Christmas album, and I put it on every single year. I fucking love it.
I think that's why I don't like Bublé.
Probably. Because they had it at Starbucks.
All over Christmas. Maybe that's why.
They basically
ruined Bublé for me. Possible, but ugh. All right, I'm going to get into the 1 out of 10 titled 4 Weddings and a Diary in Notting Hill. Okay. Avoid at all costs. There is not a single original idea in this film. It is neither funny nor touching. There is no chemistry between Messing and the charisma-free Mulroney, and everyone is trying too hard without succeeding on any level. It is a cobbling together of elements from 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Bridget Jones' Diary, Notting Hill, and Pretty Woman, but lacks the charm of all of its influences. It is depressing that anyone thought this was worth the time and money required to bring it to the screen. Cinematic experiment.
Oh my gosh. I do not really see any tie-ins between 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Bridget Jones's Diary, Notting Hill, besides the fact that all of those are based in London or England.
Yeah, that's the only connection they have to me.
I can see a small connection with Pretty Woman because of the premise of Pretty Woman, she's a hooker and he's a hooker, and that's it.
Literally it. Yeah. I don't see any influence in any of it.
Yeah.
All right, should we go ahead and get into the notes?
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
All right, so we open with with a wedding invitation addressed to Kat Ellis and guest for Amy and Edward. So Amy is her sister and Edward is her brother-in-law to be. We've got some newspaper ads specifically for good-looking men. They're being circled.
Oh my gosh, I love this. This is the internet searching, internet swiping. Like this was Yellow Pages.
Pretty much.
Our sequence.
Pre-internet world. Yeah. And so we've got some panoramic views of New York City. And then Nick is leaving Kat a voicemail telling her to stop worrying, that this is what he gets paid for, and that it's all going to be okay. Her family's going to think that they're in love, and her ex will regret ever leaving her. So we've got Deborah Messing as Kat, who's getting ready in total hot mess. She's so flustered.
I know. She's literally frantically running from one side of her apartment to the other one, not getting anything done in between, constantly running back and forth and running into rooms, forgetting what she needs, and then running back out of the rooms. And I'm like, okay, lady, you need a checklist.
Like she's doing a whole lot, but nothing's getting done. Pretty much that, right? So she's delivering a ticket, his plane ticket. And the poor delivery guy, she's over here like spilling her guts, all of her private business to him. And he's trying to take her mail. She's like, you're going to have to help me. So he has to physically pull her hand off of the ticket. I'm like, poor guy's not getting paid enough for this. She's going over old photos of her ex as well as her engagement ring, which I'm like, who does that?
I know.
Who keeps their engagement ring? But I guess people still hung up on her.
What do people do with engagement rings after you've broken off an engagement?
Pawn them? That's what I would do. Sometimes I like to think, how much would this be worth?
Hopefully Billy never finds that out.
I've told him.
That's amazing.
Oh, goodness. So she's headed to the airport. As she's checking her bags at the airport, a colleague is trying to convince her to work. I guess she works in customer service. And Virgin Atlantic, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's letting him know. She's like, I haven't seen my family in 2 years. My flight leaves in 15 minutes. I'm like, what? Girl, that's an international flight. Everybody knows you got to get there 3 hours early. Like,
and I love the fact that she finally caves. Yeah. And then she tells them, like, check my bags, and huddles underneath the counter and goes to the behind the scenes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and continues working. I know. I'm like, toxic work environment. Anyways. So she's anxiously waiting for Nick on the plane. She has not met him yet. And I love when she goes to like the flight attendant cart area and she lets the flight attendant know. She's like, I don't know what she says, but she's like, I work here. I fly all the time. She's like, I just really need the guy I'm going to meet to be really hot. And I forgot what seat it is, but the flight attendant looks
creepy.
Creepy. Yeah. Creepy.
He's a friend. Like, he knows what's up. Yep. And then what's funny is she turns back around and there's a flight stewardess in her way, so she can't see him yet. And so we got an even longer anticipation reveal of what he looks like.
Oh, yeah. She's so awkward. And like, it's just like, it's so innocent too. Like the way she just grins at him. So she's very awkward with him. And he's, gosh, beautiful, charming, remains professional.
Yeah. I think this is one of the movies where I was just like, okay, this is where Dermot Mulroney is so hot.
And I've seen him in other stuff, and I never. No, never. I don't know what it is about.
Even in My Best Friend's Wedding, like he's not that hot in that movie, and I think it has to do with his haircut there. But like when he's got longer hair and it's floppy and it like goes into his eyes a little bit, and paired with like being nice, cutly dressed, and so on and so forth. And at some point in time, we'll talk about later what his body looks like. But anyway, I think that helps.
Right? Oh, goodness. So headed off to London. Kat falls asleep. She wakes up looking like she's been hit by a bus, as anyone would on an overnight flight. And of course, Nick looks
Stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just a stunning man.
Nice and clean. Like he wasn't just on like a 10-hour flight. Cool looks like that. But anyway, so she sits up and she turns around to look at him and he's just like, good morning. She's like, morning. And then she looks in her mirror and she's like, fuck.
It's so funny because having just finished Will and Grace, and Will and Grace, she plays Grace, and there's a lot of the times where she goes, oh. And so I was half expecting her to do that, but she does it in a very much more subtle way. She's like,
oh no. So they're on their way to some sort of wedding party, and Nick's tie matches her dress, which apparently is a no-no because she says it's too matchy-matchy. It looks like we're trying too hard. So they need to make a pit stop at, I don't know, what is this, a pub? In like a random bathroom. She's trying it on, a bunch of outfits. And basically her goal is to look like, what did she say? I don't know if you caught it. She came out in a dress and
she's out, I want to look gorgeous.
Oh, like what kind of gorgeous is this? I'm sorry I ever left you. Or something
yes,
like that.
Yes. Because he says, oh, it's nice. And she's like, is it nice like, or is it nice like, I'm so sorry I ever left you?
Yeah. Yep, spot on. And then there's like a random employee there just like cleaning and eavesdropping. And he's like, oh, I would shag her, but I prefer the red one.
Yeah. Oh,
he's like, I'll let her know.
The best part is when she comes out in the last dress and she's asking how it looks. And he turns around and he's like, well, I'd shag you. And then he turns to Nick and he's like, if that's okay with you.
Okay, sir. She took his advice. Gorgeous.
I also love how she did her hair. Like, I can never figure out how to do my hair like that, where it's like a turn.
Like a twisted, like side twisted bun.
Yeah. I always want to do that, but I never know how to do that. Somebody teach me.
I'm not a fan of it.
See, I don't know. I think I really just enjoy it because to me it looks very like timeless.
It does. If it looks very clean and classic.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they arrive at this pre-wedding party, and the first relative they run into immediately just tells her, should have been you getting married. So already we see what she's walking into. And right away, she asks Nick, oh, so what do you do? So they literally just leave mid-conversation. She pulls Nick aside to get their backstory straight. So he is a therapist that is crazy about her. And this is where she also decides to pay him. I don't know why she chose the party, but we find out it is $6,000 for his services.
If you think about it, there's 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and potentially a 4th day. So, I mean, it's like $1,500 per day.
The travel and everything's included.
I don't know if it's included because she
paid for his flight.
Yeah, but that's not part of the $6,000.
Oh, it's not. Okay, that's what I meant. Like, in addition, like, she's paying for all his travel and that. So, technically, it's more.
And I'm trying to think.
That's an international flight.
I paid like $5,000 for my wedding photographer, and that was just for like 4 hours.
I don't know if we can compare it. But also they establish here that intimacy is not included. So then there's like all these additional costs. That's crazy. And that was pre-inflation. This was back in 2000. Imagine what hooker services are now.
Let's see.
Wait, are you going to Google it?
I am. Dollar from 2005 to now.
Anyway, I thought you were just going to Google how much a hooker would cost. I'm like, Kenzie, imagine all the ads you're going to get.
No. Oh my gosh, that would be wild. All right, so that's 6,000. Okay, so $6,000 in 2005 is the equivalent of about $9,500 now. So almost 10 grand.
Damn. Can you imagine paying 10 grand just to have a pretend boyfriend?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I think I could find somebody who's just willing to go to London with me
Oh, yeah.
and just pretend.
Especially if you just include their travel. I would do it.
Right? I would totally be somebody's fake girlfriend if they included my travel to someplace.
I'll be someone's fake friend. Whatever you need me to be, I will be it.
I'm a really great wedding plus one. Like, I will dance. I will get people involved. I am very good at schmoozing. Like, this is my ad to be somebody's fake date.
Yes. I've seen on TikTok that there's a fake bridesmaid service.
No.
Where you can be someone's bridesmaid. And I'm like, I would be a great bridesmaid.
Oh my God. I concur. You were a great bridesmaid.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to send me that service because I want to be somebody's bridesmaid. Like, I love being somebody's bridesmaid.
Right? And then you get paid for it. Let's do it together. Let's do
it. We do weddings together. It'll be fun.
Oh my gosh. All right. So yeah. So he lets her know if they want to get intimate, then you need to talk money first. She says no need because she finds the idea of paying for sex morally repugnant. And so immediately she's like, oh, I'm sorry. So she has a habit of saying sorry a lot. So he tells her to stop apologizing and also that it's very annoying anyways. And proceeds to constantly apologize.
Like a tick.
Right? They meet her mother, Bunny. So right away, she's just down to business. She's very strict about the schedule for the next couple of days. And she tries to introduce Nick, but she gets distracted and runs off. And that's when they see Amy from across the room. And Amy is totally stoked. She's excited. She's like, I'm getting married. Asks who the hunk is. And she too is off. And also because they're people she hasn't seen in 2 years.
I know.
And this is how they greet her. So already we see the dynamic between these relationships.
Well, on the plane, she even mentioned, like, do you know those families who are so crazy, but at the end of the day, you love them because they're your family? And he's like, yeah. And she says, that's not like my family.
Yep.
And then she says, I like my dad, but to be fair, he's my stepdad, so he's more like a hostage to the family.
Yep.
I love that line so much.
So they do see her dad. And her father is the only one who actually addresses Nick.
Yeah.
So he's super sweet. And her dad's like, where'd you find him? She's like, oh, Yellow Pages.
It's not quite a lie.
I know. So at this party, her mother decides to give a horrific speech by just spilling all of Kat's, just all of her failed relationship details. So it's so awkward. But I love how the bride and groom were not fazed by it.
No.
It's like everybody there was used to it. They're like, oh, yeah.
Well, and it's like, obviously everybody there knows.
Oh, everybody knows all her business.
And her mom's just pouring salt into the wound.
Everyone there is clearly Team Cat. It's very, very apparent. So that is when, during this speech, they're interrupted by a man who decides to play the piano, which turns out to be Kat's ex, Jeffrey. Kitty cat. Hi. She's so cute. So Jeffrey is waiting for Kat outside the bathroom. She comes out and she is so happy to see him. And he goes over for a kiss on her cheek. Lingers a little too long there, if you ask me. And she is just totally infatuated by him. She's just...
I'm not sure if this is actually like him lingering or if like to show that time slowed down for her when it happened.
Ooh, okay. It could have been that too. That makes sense. Anyways, so then they're interrupted. That's when we're introduced to her hilarious cousin TJ.
I love her so much. She's amazing. She is so blunt and so like willing to be raunchy and just being willing to say, go away, asshole. Like,
yep. She's like, given that you broke her heart and left her, I'm going to take her away from you or something like that. Along those lines. It's very English. They are very blunt people.
Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least that's what I've heard in interviews. Their sarcasm. They say a lot of like Americans don't understand their sarcasm. Because of how just like blunt they are. So it could be that, but
I love it.
yeah. So they go downstairs and Nick's talking with like some other ladies, being a total charmer. And he turns around to look at Kat and TJ and he just looks and winks at them. He's like, oh God, I think I've just come.
Oh, I love how she says it too. She's just like, oh God.
Oh God.
I think I've just come.
So Nick gets Kat a drink at the bar and Amy sees it. And apparently she just has to have it. She's just like, can I have it?
Can I have that?
Yeah, I can have that. And she literally forces Kat to push the drink in front of her straw.
She does like little cat hands too, like cat claws. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah. So she's a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
Clearly. She tells Kat, she's like, you know what I love about all this? Kat's like, why? Because there's a reason for the world to finally revolve around you. She's like, exactly.
So they obviously at least know everything that they need to know about each other. Like they understand each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and so Kat and Amy are stepsisters.
Not stepsisters, half sisters.
Half sisters.
Half sisters. So they share the same mom, but they have different dads. So like her stepdad is Amy Adams' dad. And so we never know who her real dad is.
Yeah. I don't think we've been introduced to anyone else. Gotcha. So Nick joins Jeffrey outside and they start chatting it up. Which may I add, Jeffrey kind of mocks the idea of being a therapist. He's like, you Americans and your therapists. Which I'm like. Anyways, he discovers that Nick's actually the new guy.
Well, and so what's really good about throughout most of the movie, you think that he's still pining for Kat, that he changed his mind.
They make it seem like that.
They make it seem like that. So he looks back into the room, he sees Kat at the bar laughing, and he says a line of like, oh, I can't believe that the person who I love is here with another guy.
Yeah.
But as we'll find out later,
it's not what it appeared.
It's not what it seemed.
Yeah. So party over, and Kat and Nick are staying at Kat's parents' house. They end up sharing a childhood bedroom, which Kat was not planning on because apparently her mom had a rule that I guess if you're not married, you can't stay in the same bedroom.
Did you ever have to abide by that anywhere?
No.
Oh, okay.
Have you?
I have.
At your in-laws.
So, no, not at my in-laws. We didn't. No, at my in-laws it was fine. But like, so my uncle John and his wife and their 7 children, we stayed with them when we were in Alaska, and they asked that we sleep in separate rooms because they had small children, and then like we weren't married, and so they didn't want us to stay in the same room. But it was really funny because I think the next day after that happened, one of them came up to me and were like, why are you and your husband not sleeping in the same room? My mom and dad sleep in the same room. Like, he didn't understand.
Oh, poor kiddo.
Oh, it was so cute.
Oh, goodness. So at one point when they're in the bedroom, kind of like getting ready for bed, unpacking and whatnot, Nick sees Kat on her tiptoes. And he says, oh, is that an old habit from ballet class or from a lifetime of walking on eggshells?
And then she walks on her tiptoes over to the door and slams it with her foot and says, I never took ballet.
Yep.
So good. The lines are so good in this movie.
So Nick, I didn't put it down, but Nick ended up doing an article. He was the subject and was interviewed. And Kat ended up bringing that article with her. And so he sees it and he's like, how did you know that was me? And she's like, oh, I have a friend that works at the magazine. And he's like, oh, so much for anonymity. Like, poor guy. How embarrassing, right?
I know. But she worked hard. She was like, this is the guy that I need.
Yeah.
She hadn't even seen his face because it was only like a word interview. They didn't take a picture or anything of him. And they're just like, she was just like, nope, this is the guy that I need to bring.
Yep.
It's so funny.
I know. I'm looking at my notes and I immediately went to gets butt naked. I'm like, is that where I am? I was just drawn to it. I'm like,
I think that is where we're at.
that's where we're heading.
Yeah.
We're heading there. Oh, we are there. Yay. So at this point, he just starts undressing right in front of her like nothing. And of course, she's just so, oh God, what's the word for it? She's like
awkward, but watching at the same
Yeah.
time. Like she's not sure where to look. She's a little frantic. She's like, oh God, what am I? And he says, don't worry, take a look. It's part of the
what
package.
you paid for, you paid for.
Oh, and he's got a nice chest. His shoulders really nice, like a very defined back.
Yeah.
Like they do like a whole almost 360.
They
as
do
he's getting
360 of
undressed.
this guy. They're like, we are going to show them every ounce, every inch of this man's body.
That was directed by a woman.
Yep.
And like they know who the audience of this movie is.
Yeah, they
you know?
did. Claire understood the assignment for sure. Anyways, and it's at this point when she mentions that she pulled the 6K out of her 401k.
I know.
And I'm like, man,
That costs you a lot to do that.
it does. That's a major fee.
Some intense taxes there.
Right? Yeah.
But anyway, so as he's continuing to get undressed though, like we get this really nice shot of him like pulling down his underwear.
Yeah, as he's walking to the
He's
bathroom.
got a very nice butt.
Yep. Nice and perky.
Get the words right out of my mouth.
So she's asking questions about his interview
While he's in the shower.
while he's in the shower. Also, I gotta say, I'm not a fan of his singing voice. It was very...
Yeah, no. Oh, so he's making fun of her because she had an Air Supply poster up.
Oh, yeah.
And so he starts singing, I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you. And so on and so forth. But he's just making fun of the fact that she was really insecure about the fact that she had an Air Supply poster up.
Oh, goodness. So as she's asking him these questions, he gets out of the shower, doesn't even cover up. And so she looks up and she's just like head on with his penis. Like, she's just like, oh my God.
So funny. She can't look away.
She tries.
She's got her hand over her mouth and she's like looking down, looking up, looking down, closing her eyes, looking up.
She physically turned her body and then turned it back.
She's like, are you not going to move? My God.
Oh, man.
So good.
Yep. So they head to bed and Nick's already
Right.
asleep and she's just asking him questions about his conversation with Jeffrey. She's like, he seems so mature now.
What I love though is that she's making like a pillow for it between them.
Pillows, blankets, like no
Just adding as
contact.
much padding so they never touch to the point where she starts to fall off the bed.
Oh yeah, she almost falls off. So the next day, they're all playing cricket. Is that cricket?
Cricket.
That's cricket, right? All right.
Yeah, it's English baseball.
English baseball. Yep. Pretty much. So during the game, Kat is attempting to act very seductively by pouring water over her white blouse. And she's like tying it up. She's got a little Britney, little Britney vibe going on there.
So funny because Jeffrey is pitching.
Yeah.
And so she's up to
She's the
bat.
batter.
And I love her line. She's like, be nice to me, Jeffrey.
Be nice. She's like sticking her little bottom out.
Emphasization all
Right.
the way.
That arch, though.
That arch.
Oh, no. So let's see. So it's Nick's turn to bat. And she tells him, she's like, don't. She says,
Lose
lose
the
the
game.
game. He does the opposite. He friggin' hits, oh my God, I don't know any batting terms. I was going to say,
A home run.
home run. There we go. Is it the same thing?
I don't know if it's the same thing in cricket. I've never played or watched cricket. Like, we barely know regular sports here in America.
Right.
El Celeste. You're asking me about English sports?
Yeah, but
I know
you're
idea.
sports, but don't you watch like football?
I watch football occasionally, yes, but that is still American. My sports knowledge is very limited. And even to that, it is even further limited to America.
So he hits an equivalent to a home run. There we go. They win the game. She's like, what the heck? And he's like, trust me, it's helping.
My favorite part, though, is that when he's running around the bases, TJ's like, Run, my sexy little monkey, run!
This runs a little awkward.
It's not quite Tom Cruise running, you know? It's very...
Oh, goodness. So later on, they're getting ready for their bachelorette and bachelor parties, which is a golf thing.
Never heard of it.
Why?
I don't know. And that is one of the things that we need to know, whether or not Amy loves golf.
Right? Because in other words,
sense.
it just sounds so random.
It is so random.
And she decides to wear knee-high socks with strappy high heels, which I feel like should be a fashion crime. It looks terrible.
And when we get to TJ's outfit, though, her outfit is fire.
You know what? I feel like TJ can wear anything, and
This
she
is
would
true.
make it look badass and sexy.
Yeah.
Just because of who she is. So Nick's driving to drop Kat off at the bachelorette party, and she's asking him questions about his profession. And he explains to her that being an escort isn't about the sex. It's about understanding what people need. So she basically asks him
To show me.
Yeah. She's like, show me right here, right now. They're like in the middle of the street. They're out in the open.
And it's so funny because he finally gives in to this request.
Yeah.
And she all of a sudden is extremely uncomfortable.
She's so nervous. And
So he gently pushes her up against the car and he tells her to close her eyes. And he says, I'm not going to kiss you, but I just need to remind you of what an incredible woman you are. And if you lead with your confidence, he's going to regret the day he ever let go of you. And she's just,
yes.
it reminds me of, have you heard of this like audio porn?
What? No.
Ironically
I
enough,
have not.
Taylor Tomlinson does a bit of that in one of her specials.
What?
Where she talks about it. She's like an audio porn. It's really meant for women where they give you a story and they walk you through it and they talk to you so gently. I'm going to take care of this. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And before you even get into the sex, she's like, I've already come. We're good.
It's seduction for women. Yep. That's what happens. He basically tells
that's
her
exactly what this is.
everything, what she wants to hear. So she says, so she's like, oh shit, worth every penny.
And then she walks off without her purse.
Yes. And he actually has to push her in the right
I was
direction.
distracted.
She's just like, she's
Literally, like, she probably did come and she has to remember how to walk again.
right. Oh goodness. So yeah, so she leaves her purse. Nick brings it to the party for her. TJ, of course, forces him to stay for a drink. And Kat gets to flaunt him off, where they share their first kiss. And of course, TJ makes some more amazing, hilarious comments.
It's so funny. Like, so they give like a quick peck, you know, and then all the bachelorette were just like wooing it. And then they go in for a big kiss. And then everybody loses their fucking shit. They're just like, what?
Did you get like a sense that Amy was a little bit jealous? I thought, because I had never seen this movie before, I thought there was going to be a moment where she was going to like try to hook up with him, honestly.
I think she was just jealous that the attention wasn't on her, but
Probably that too.
I think that was it.
Oh, goodness. So Nick ends up attending the bachelor party. Okay, so this is another reason why I thought why we played into the idea that Jeffrey was pining over Kat. Because he does not like Nick. He's not happy that he's there. He's like, why is he there? Jack asks, he's like, why? Is it because he has less than 9% body fat and he's shagging your ex-girlfriend?
Oh my goodness. They love it so much. But this is like the iconic kind of bachelor party. Like there are just a bunch of men getting shit-faced, playing like pool.
I think strippers come up.
And one's in like a naughty schoolgirl outfit, and one's in like,
I have no idea what they're
fishnet shirt and skirt or something like that with a feather boa. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Classic bachelor party. So at the bachelorette party, Kat ends up reconnecting with an old high school boyfriend who ends up being the bartender at their bachelorette party.
They have this cute little joke. She's like, Woody, is that you? And he's like, not yet, but it's getting there.
I don't get it. I'm not going to lie, I didn't get it.
Have you ever heard of morning wood? Yeah. So it's not wood yet, but it's getting there.
Okay. I'm like, is this like a TV show reference? I don't know about.
It's a penis reference.
Okay, I know about that. All right. So they're all having drinks, and for a moment there, Amy begins sharing doubts about getting married, saying that she does not deserve it. So when Kat starts to show some concern, Amy immediately snaps out of it and goes dancing. So it was a very brief moment.
She's very, very drunk.
Yeah. So at the bachelor party, Nick takes a very drunk Ed home, and Nick's just sharing all of his wisdom with him, all of his hooker wisdom with him. Ed is like, how do you know all of this?
No, the way that he says it is, how do you know so much about so much?
Yeah, about so much. And Nick just tells him, I'm a hooker. And again, they just laugh.
Blitz, and he has absolutely no idea that he's not joking.
Yeah.
But he thinks it's a joke.
Yep.
He's like, that's funny, man.
He's gone. He's totally gone. So a limo's taking all the girls home, but they stop by an ATM first where Kat is withdrawing exactly $250 from every single card she has.
And it pounds technically, but
yeah, 250 pounds. There we go. I forgot where we were. But I don't know how many cards she freaking had. At least
it's so funny. She like opens up her wallet, and that really classic, all of the credit cards come rolling out type of a thing where they're all in like a sleeve, and she got maybe 10 of them. And it's so funny to watch because all the girls are hooping and hollering as she's doing this. And she's like, shh.
So at first I thought, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money for a strip club. I thought that's what they were doing.
That is a traditional bachelorette.
That's not what happened.
Well, and then this is where we leave TJ for the night.
Yes.
She's like, all right, I have to go now.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'm going to hurl, essentially. But that was a top night. Top night, ladies.
Top night, ladies. She reminds me of Ginger Spice.
I love it. So we do see a scene before they leave for the bachelor and bachelorette party where her dad takes a bucket of water and washes his boat. So we know that it's his boat. So she wakes him up, or she wakes up Nick. She seduces him very drunkenly to the boat because she tries to get up on the boat and falls into the boat and is laughing hysterically. And then there's a bed in this boat. It is a very small boat. It is not a large boat.
Right in front of their house.
Right in front of their house. There's no cover between the bedroom area and but so she pushes Nick onto the bed. She takes off his button-down shirt, and she just has him lay down while she strips everything off to the sound of Maroon 5's Secret, which I was in love with this song. And I think it was mostly because of this movie. It was such a great song for this.
It's not like
scene because it's so seductive, but in a very tasteful way, shall I say? Because nothing is really shown. It's not too egregious. Yeah, it doesn't linger on anything, but it's very tasteful because they only show parts of their bodies and them getting together, but nothing vulgar.
Yeah, like if you were watching this with your parents, I wouldn't cringe. That's the kind of sex scene it was.
But it was very passionate and very like seductive.
Yes. Definitely had that feel. So the next morning, Kat's dad is like in the windows doing something. He ends up catching her in the walk of shame.
Yeah. He knocks on the window. He's like, ahoy there. And she's just like, hi.
Also, there's a bunch of like garbage men picking up garbage with her, like no privacy.
Yeah. And none
whatsoever.
So she didn't put on her underwear. So she's just carrying it in her hand, and she just like quickly rushes in.
So Sweet Nick brings her coffee and a breakfast sandwich in bed, which was she ends up ruining the moment by asking what happened last night. And so,
because he's hurt.
Clearly, you can see he's taken back by it. Like
he's
that
like,
hurt him.
Nothing happened.
He's physically taken back. He's like, oh. But also, that's not his mistake because this guy's mixing business and pleasure. So So yeah, he plays it off by saying nothing, and she just smiles and goes to shower. He ends up finding the load of cash that she pulled out of the ATM under the blanket and confronts her in the shower. He's like, what the heck?
I love that she like quickly grabs her boobs as if he's not seen that already.
I know. I think it's just a natural instinct. If anyone were to pull my shower curtain, I think that's the first thing. No, I do one hand over my boob, probably, like my arm, and one over the crotch. Oh no. So he's like, oh, by the way, you're like $300 short. And she's like, what?
I told you if we were going to be intimate that we would talk money beforehand. Yeah. And she's like, well, just like, that's the down figure on a Ford Focus.
So they end up joining Amy and Ed for a dance for the wedding. And poor TJ is partnerless. But I also love the dance instructor. She's like, oh, God, what did she say? She's like, everybody is, watching and betting on how long the marriage is going to last. I know she's saying like all these sweet things and they're all betting how long the marriage is going to last, which is probably true. It's very realistic. And yeah, poor TJ is partnerless, so she's really just dancing. She's jamming out.
She is into it. I try dancing.
She is dancing to the beat of her own drum. So during this dance, they end up making up. What was it? Like a waltz? What were they doing?
They were mostly they were dancing to sway.
Yeah.
That's a cover.
Buble, yeah.
And because Pussycat Dolls also do a cover of sway. I love it so much. But at one point in time, he like trips her and then she split and then they start to do the spinning and then they make up because they're laughing so much. But it's just cute.
Very sweet. So, and they're so cute. They jump on the bed together, lay down. He's never done a wedding before. Apparently he's done funerals.
And she's like, that's depressing. Who would do that? And she's like,
right. So he tells her that he's never done a wedding before, not because he's never been asked to, but just because he's never said yes. So she asks him, why did you say yes to me? And she's like, he says that there's something in your voice on the phone that day that made him say yes. And she's like, what was it? Desperation? And he's like, no, I think it was hope. So again, it's the day before the wedding and they're off to like this massive countryside home. Is this Ed's home?
I don't know. They make it seem like their families have been together for such a long time. And then this is just
this is their version of a vacation home. Oh my God.
Right. But I also have to notice on the drive up to this Victorian house, they brought her dad's boat.
Oh yeah.
I have no idea why.
There's a boathouse.
Yes, there's a boathouse, but they're there for a wedding. What are they doing with a boat?
Who knows? It was brought just in Casey's. And they're so cute. They jump on the bed together, lay down. And Kat says, she's like, I've been spilling my guts all weekend and I still don't know anything about you. And so he just says, he's like, I'm allergic to fabric softener. I hate anchovies. And I think that I'd miss you even if I'd never met you.
And then they hold hands.
I think I fell in love. I know. It's just so sweet and innocent.
It's so sweet.
Like
in this movie, like he's so sweet and so sincere. And this is the real deal kind of a thing too. So he's very, it just makes my heart grow like 3 times bigger.
I know. I don't normally, like I love rom-coms, but I don't normally fall for like all the cheesy stuff. But this is just like my heart. I don't know what about this movie that gets me, but I love it. It approaches with some food because it looks like he's grilling. He asks if anyone has seen Amy because he knows that she'll be mad if she doesn't get the first plate of food, which sounds like very Amy. And Kat's like, have you guys ever had a real honest fight? And he's like, of course. It makes up for great makeup sex.
Now,
good and not. Nope.
And so
not really
then have a fight, Kat and TJ, him with a plate of food, and he's got like hot dogs or something like that. And Kat's like, give me your wiener.
Yeah. Oh no. So Kat's dad, he tells Nick, he's like, you seem like a ladies' man. How about you go fetch Amy? So he approaches the lake house, which I did not know was a lake house at first. And before he even goes in, he overhears Amy saying, "Why are you bringing this up now? I love Ed." And he walks in to see her with Jeffrey holding her. So immediately,
well, he's holding her arms. And he's like getting loud and is just trying to.
So Jeffrey tries to play it off like he was asking questions about the wedding and then just walks off. And let's see. So that's when Amy decides to tell Nick about her and Jeffrey's affair. So Jeffrey tries to pull Kat aside to confess, but she ends up leaving him. She sees Nick walking over, who is...
He looks distraught. He looks sad, upset.
Yes, he clearly looks affected, which is another reason, like, I fall in love with him, because, like, how sweet. He, like, feels her pain, and you can physically see it on him. And I'm like...
But what I also love is that at the very beginning of this trip, Kat, like, gotten over him now, because as soon as she sees Nick, she's like, oh, yeah, well, I'll be back later.
So he ends up not telling her, obviously. And so later on, Kat's dad is having a drink. And he tells Nick about the first time that and how that was the day that he became a father. Which is also so sweet. I know.
Her dad is one of the best characters also. Ironically enough, like, whenever I hear this story, it's similar to how my mom became her dad, because in my Aunt Jessie, he just fell in love with that. Like, okay, let's do this. And so then him and my grandma were married for a while, but are no longer.
And in the scene, he keeps offering him anchovies. And as mentioned before, Nick does not like anchovies, so he's like put them in different spots on the coffee
and not eat it.
Yeah, no, thank you. So Nick tells him, he's like, this might not make much sense right now, but I would like to ask your permission to date your daughter. In which her dad responds, I thought you already were. So not confusing. So they're at what looks like the rehearsal dinner. And during this dinner, Bunny decides to point out the fact that Kat and Amy are not as close as they used to be. Apparently, they used to be inseparable. Thanks to Tony P. Pants.
Tony P. Pants.
Tony P. Pants. I guess that was Kat's first boyfriend. And then Amy jumps in, is like, what'd she say? She's like, oh, he wanted to play with me instead, or something like that.
But then he decided he wanted to play with me instead.
Yep. So they all have just like a big laugh about it. And then at one point, Nick's like, because, oh my goodness, what does Bunny say? She's like, oh, it ended up with like a chair and he got a few stitches.
It was plastic.
Yeah, it was a kid chair.
And then TJ's like, it was just pig and stitches, Bunny.
And then Nick's like, oh, so is that how he got his nickname, Pee Pants? Everybody was so confused. They're like, what? And then they realized, they're like, I have no idea. Oh my gosh. So at that point, Kat gets up to get some more wine, and Jeffrey follows. He decides that this is the perfect time to give her an explanation as to why he left. Yeah. And Kat's over it. She lets him know. She's like, it's in the past. Everything's good.
I'm sick of you and me. So let's just move on and call it a day.
Yeah. So she admitted to him. She's like, I brought Nick to torture him, but that she's over the two of them. So she's walking away. All seems good. And he tells her that he slept with his sister. And she is just paralyzed. She's like, what?
As one would be.
Yeah. So he says that's why he broke up with her. And he tells her, and that they continued at it. He's like, oh, we continued at it like rabbits until we realized that it was mad and obviously morally wrong. And I'm like, this guy is just
understand.
Just throughout. He's just like
truly an asshole.
Classic douchebag is what Jeffrey is.
There's just never a real reason to tell somebody that you tell them.
Yeah.
This is no.
What?
We were going at it like rabbits.
Like, just salt in the wound, man. Like, why? Jesus. So he says, you know what? I was, what's the actor's name? I confused the two.
However, when
I was like,
I don't know why it says Jack a couple of times.
what? I was
why who is that? Is that the actor's name?
too.
Yeah, it's her
I
name.
was like, wait. However, when Ed proposed, he realized that he's in love with her. So Kat, of course, just walks away, totally stunned and speechless. So when she walks out, going to the table, everyone kind of just looks. TJ walks up to her. Oh my God, he told you. And so now Kat is like, what the fudge?
Everybody
like,
knows
you
this
knew?
and I don't.
Exactly. So then Amy looks at Kat, realizes she knows. And instead of, I'm sorry or trying to reconcile in any way, just goes up and she's like,
Please don't tell Ed anything.
yeah, she just begs her to not say anything.
And then Nick finds her finally, and he
Yes,
because obviously something's wrong, but he's not entirely sure what it is. I think,
Mhm.
or
I feel
did
like
he
he
overhear?
knows.
Well, he know. Yeah, I know that he overheard for a little
followed her.
bit. But
Yes. So he
I don't know
followed
if he
her.
overheard that bit.
Yeah, so she followed her when she went over to get the wine because he saw that Jeffrey got up to go to her. So I think he knew that he was going to say something. So I think he was just trying to be there for moral support. Anyways, but he was overhearing, and all he overheard was that her telling him that, she's over them. So then he walks away because I think, yeah.
So then when we're back to this point where he's holding Kat, Amy comes over to him and says, I can't believe you told her.
What a little shit. Yeah. And like a gentleman, he doesn't say anything, of course. He's not like, no, I didn't. He just...
Well, and then Kat stares at him and is hurt because even he knows. And that was like, and everybody knows by her.
Idea what's going on. He is completely oblivious to every med. And he's just like, okay.
It's just like, all right, that's what's due.
Which makes you hate Jeffrey even more.
Yes.
Jeffrey's the best man. So of course Nick follows Kat. They get into a little argument. Kat tells Nick that, he's a liar, but that she shouldn't be surprised given that that's what he does for a living. So he's like, wow, you're one to say that, or I forgot what he said.
Yeah, because she flew him halfway across the world and paid for a lie.
Yeah,
she's like,
paid. Yeah. So he ends up leaving. So Kat's room, and she just says, thank you for not outing her or outing me in front of Ed. Tell him not the right time because it's the night before the wedding and timing is everything. And so she's just, I forgot what she says, but she's like,
she says something along the line of, you're right, timing is, you've fucked his best friend. He won't feel like his entire work committed to marrying you.
Exactly. I think you said it quote unquote perfectly. Yes, it shows.
And he also tells her, right, oh, but I'm not going to forgive you right now.
Yep. So she reassures her that, her wedding day is going to be perfect. But she's not going to pretend that everything is okay today.
Fair.
Yeah. Oh, understandably.
110% understandable.
I just actually kind of just went on like nothing happened. I'm like, this is the point where I noticed that there was a lot of Michael Buble playing.
Yeah.
Just cue another Michael Buble song at this.
This says, I Want to Go Home by Michael Buble.
Yeah.
And this is actually an original song of his.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shocker.
I love this song. Another way, another way. I want to go home. Please let home.
Beautiful.
You think Michael Buble would like it?
Yeah. Really. So like I said, day of the wedding, every typical wedding day. There's chaos. Everybody's getting ready. Everyone's moving on. Like everything's normal.
Well, her Kat and her mom are at the beauty salon, and Kat's like, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Kat looks like she hasn't slept. Yeah, her mom is like, I know you're lying. I
know something's wrong, and she's like, nothing. A bottle of Jack, and I think she said a gun.
A knife.
Straight razor.
A straight razor. Yeah.
Nothing that a bottle of Jack and a straight razor can't fix. And then she smiles. She's like,
oh goodness. So they're at the, I think it's like a cathedral or a church of some sort.
some kind of church.
So Kat finds her steps alone, and he just asks. So he just walks up, sits next to her, and says, "Why?" And then he quotes the article that Nick was in, and he says he agrees with him.
Well, I think every woman has the exact love life that she wants. And he says, I believe that's true. However, I can't believe that you would let Nick go and not have this love life that you want. And so then it takes the wedding car to go find Nick, because the night before he was originally going to go stay in a hotel, but Ed's late and he stayed in the boathouse.
The night before, Ed gives him the boathouse, but he's like, you guys are going to work it out. You couldn't be perfect for each other. He's like, it wouldn't be more perfect if she picked you out of a catalog.
It's so sweet. And Nick just kind of smirks at him and goes on his way.
As dumb as Ed's character comes off, he's very sweet.
Very sweet.
Yes.
He's sweet, adorable, loving.
I hate that.
I'm dumb. Yeah.
I know.
It's okay. He figures it out.
Yeah. We're about to get to it. So Kat runs off, in the wedding car. Find Nick. And at the boathouse, Nick has already left, but she finds an envelope with her money returned.
All $6. The other side of it, it says, "Trust me, it's there."
Yes, because when she paid him, she forces him to count.
And she's counting with him as he's counting.
So before the wedding, Amy decides to washes her out so much. She looks like a ghost.
She's a very pretty ghost.
She's beautiful,
sparkling ghost.
But a ghost. Yes.
Oh, and that wedding dress, though. Oh my gosh, that wedding dress is beautiful. Like some of these wedding dresses that they put people in movies, I'm just like, no, thank you. But this one was very beautiful. God, it's what it reminded me of.
Yes. It was very like wispy and not like too over the top. It was really pretty. Ed attempts to hunt down Jeffrey. So he finds out, because at the time, I guess, when they started their affair, him and Ed were not together. Like, he knew, I don't think they were together.
Amy and Ed.
Ed and Amy were not together. I think they were separated. So he knew that she was seeing someone. He just didn't know who.
And his best friend is...
But also, he was engaged. I know.
To her sister.
Yes. So he was like, what the fudge? So he comes out. He makes eye contact with Jeffrey. And Jeffrey's just like, hey. And then he realizes. He's like, oh, shit.
He's like Ed, talk about this like civilized people.
So they're literally, he's chasing him around town. And Nick happens to be driving by. And next to Ed. So Jeffrey is just like leaving him in the dust. And Nick drives next to Ed. And Ed's like, I look like a winker, don't I? Or something like an idiot of some sort. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, you do. He's like, Ed, get in the car. Because Ed is just not up for that. Yeah, he's not up for it. He's not.
And he says, he's all the way halfway to France by now.
It really is. He's like out in the field. He's struggling to keep up. So Nick and Ed end up having like a little heart-to-heart together. And Nick tells him, he's like, if you do decide to go back, then you can spend the rest of they can spend the rest of their lives having really great makeup sex.
There's nothing like sex to convince a man to do anything.
So two of them go back to the church in cat makeup.
And it's so cute because he's like, okay, I gotta go.
I gotta go now.
And she's like, no, don't leave. And he's like, but I have to. I'm the best man. And gives a little wink.
Yeah. Him and his winks. I can't.
He's a very good winker.
Oh yeah, he is
not. It's not trying too hard. It's just that really.
He's a natural winker.
Yeah, so good.
So Amy and Ed decide to proceed with the wedding, and as you stated, Nick is now the best man. So it ends at the rehearsal dinner, and they do not the rehearsal dinner. Not the rehearsal. I'm sorry. What is it?
Reception.
Reception. There you go. And then we end the night at the reception, and that is the end. But they do a little, like, recaps of where they are in life.
So TJ is dancing with Woody, and it says on the screen, TJ finally realizes why Woody got his name Woody. And then it turns to Nick and Kat, and it says, Nick quit the business and he took Kat on their first date. Nick paid. And then it goes to Jeffrey in an apartment having just taken a shower, and they say, and Jeffrey, he sees an attractive woman across from me at a different building. And he decides, rather than toweling off and getting dressed, he takes the towel off of his junk and needs to do pull-ups in front of the window. And it says, Jeffrey learned nothing.
Nothing. Yep. He's still a big fat loser. So yeah. And then closing with, again, another Buble song. And the end.
Good.
So, did it pass the Bechdel test? This is a hard one. I think maybe.
I think it did.
I think it did. The line for me, I think, was when she sees her mom Bunny and she's just talking about the wedding itinerary.
Right.
I couldn't think of another spot.
Well, there's Kat and Amy, and she's like, cat, kitty cat, I'm getting married.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When
So
they talk
almost
about the
the
whole
same-
world revolves
yeah.
around her.
Oh, okay, yeah, we got that too.
And then TJ and Kat, I feel like there had to have at least been one or two lines there that they passed together. Oh,
For most
yeah.
of their lines that I can think of.
so
Stellar Night Ladies.
that's
That could have been
Top
one.
Night.
Top Night Ladies, yep.
But I don't think they ever respond other than wow, and like,
Well,
as a line
We're
of
going to count
dialogue.
with let's count.
But one of my other favorite lines, TJ,
Uh-huh.
in this movie is back when they are doing the cookout and they're playing cards. Like, he's perfect, isn't he? Nothing's wrong. Like, not even his thing doesn't even have to be perfect. It's so great.
Oh my gosh. Oh, also the cookout in the countryside, when Jeffrey asks for a cat for a month with their mom, and her mom's like, "Oh, you only stolen 7 years of her life, left her and broke her heart. But sure, what's another moment?"
And Kat is like, thank you for the solidarity, but less information next time.
Yeah, let's tone it
It's not saying don't do that. She's just on the 7 years
Yeah.
part. Something else snarky and shorter.
It passed the Bechdel test, which is Asking for Trouble by Elizabeth Young. And the movie was originally going to be called Something Borrowed. Did you watch that movie?
Yeah, I saw
love that movie. Yeah,
when I was
starring
in San
Kate
Antonio,
Hudson.
actually.
Jennifer Goodwin, yep. So obviously they decided not to go with that title. And then Deborah Messing is allergic to real flowers. So the filmmakers tried to use artificial flowers as often as possible, which I would think that's super sweet. But they would try to do that just to be cost effective.
I don't
You know what I
know.
mean? Like, it makes me wonder now, like, do they usually use real flowers when filming, like, wedding scenes? That would be expensive.
I think it just depends, because if you have like a hookup, you could probably get wholesale flowers if you're doing like a bunch of wedding movies, maybe. But I don't.
Who knows?
I didn't pay for real flowers. I only know what it costs
Yeah,
for fake.
heads up.
I did do fake flowers.
How much, if you remember?
I don't know. You were there
Ballpark.
with me the whole time. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got them way early.
Yeah.
Like, when we found out we were engaged, we headed to Michael.
yeah, we stocked up. I was like, I think I'm going to need this many flowers. And I used them for everything.
Deborah Messing and Jack Davenport in Smash from 2012. I have not seen it.
Movie in 2012.
2012, yeah. Okie dokie. Gail, what do you say?
I call this a 5. Every single time I watch it, I'm buzzing. Like, I'm just
Yep.
giggling. I'm laughing. I love this movie so much.
Mhm.
Actor, and I even do like Amy Adler because I think she's just hilarious. I think she's like the conceited comic relief, you know?
Yes. Mhm.
And I don't usually like Amy Adams in most movies.
You don't.
No. Because most of the time when in a movie, she plays like this sad, like self-sabotaging character who's just like depressed and
Mhm.
so on and so forth. And I don't know, I get really bored of it. So I just don't care for her. With the exception of this one. Like, it's very different.
Well, I agree with you. Also a 5 because I love this movie. I'm so glad we did it. I was I wasn't too sure about it when you picked it. I'm like, oh, I've never seen it, but I love this movie. I'm so glad.
I love it. Like we said, it's a short, snappy 90 minutes. You know exactly what's happening. You don't have to do a homework because they give you all the background. It's a really good surprise if you've never seen it before. They lead up to it very well.
Yes. Twist ending there for sure. So,
but yeah. So I love this movie. I love this movie so much. And I'm so glad that you like this movie. I know that sometimes I offer movies for us to watch and you watch it and you're like, nope, this wasn't for me. But the fact that this was when Dermot Mulroney of it all, I am here for it.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to another episode of Caffeinated Flicks. We're a self-published podcast produced and edited by Kenzie.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what films you'd like us to cover, what we can do better, or just say hi.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can follow us on Instagram at Caffeinated Flicks Pod or email us at caffeinatedflicks@gmail.com. We'll catch you on the flick side.